And we all probably had experiences of this where we've gone into relationships and we feel that one person is more involved in the relationship than the other. And this is an issue of people who have a fear of love. So it's something you must always work with. And if you do think the person's worth it, then it may be also worth suggesting therapy to them or talking about the situation or their thoughts and feelings. And it's always worth doing, even if the person you're not going to be with, but actually to help them find the right person or for you to find the right person. Their well-being often depends on the responses they receive from the person they love. This can keep them highly strung and anxious all the time. They may be extremely possessive, or conversely, they may drive away their loved ones with their detachment. And detachment issues is an issue which causes a lot of issues in relationships, and then also codependency. Sometimes people, when they get into a relationship, they believe that they have to be so codependent with their loved one that they don't have friendships, they don't have anything outside of that. Which is then where we actually hear a lot of issues with domestic violence, because domestic violence within that then actually makes the person fall in love with their abuser. And this is an issue we have a lot in hypnotherapy come up. So the other one as well is mum also experienced severe anxiety owing to the pressures of commitment, restlessness, shallow breathing, rapid heart rate, nausea, chest pains are a few physical symptoms that can be attributed to philophobia. Panic and anxiety attacks are also very common. This is actually probably the most, anxiety is very linked to love or relationships. It happens quite a lot, or with their anxiety for their family. And this can be terrible for the sufferer, who often feels dizzy, feels like running away, crying, shaking, or sweating profusely. And this fear of love can be quite debilitating to the sufferer. So the other thing as well is when we're looking at pressures of that, we talked about the idea of religious context, but also the idea of people when we're looking at fertility as well. And this is something when we're going to do with that fear of pregnancy. It's going to be another talk in another 2 days' time. And this is where it all interlinks. So the fear of love also works with the fear of commitment and the fear of pregnancy. So sometimes when you work with a client, you may think they have a fear of love, but it also interlinks to them as well. And then the fear of being alone, if a relationship doesn't work, also can cause problems. And then the fear of success also can link with the fear of love, because if you have fear of success, then you don't believe your love relationship will work. So can you see it's all interlinked in that way? So how would we suggest overcoming this fear of love? Well, there are many ways of overcoming the fear of falling in love. Now, on the general, it's self-help books. Secondly, psychotherapy is talk therapy, psychotherapy, and then hypnoanalysis. So hypnoanalysis are a few effective ways that can show proven effects of results. So hypnotherapy would go into the subconscious, which is ingrained in the fear of love, whereas psychotherapy would only talk about it on the surface level. So people said, this is what I experience, this is what I do. But the subconscious goes into where it is actually deep rooted into the psyche, where it actually causes a domino effect of why the fear of love happens, why relationships don't work, why marriages don't work, and so forth. It is interlinked. That deep rooted issue is what most people need sorted out. So there are several online and offline forums that support groups that can encourage an individual open about their fears, about love and commitment. It's all important to manage the anxiety attacks experienced owing to the phobia. Now, if you're a prescribed doctor, drugs and medication can be prescribed. However, they are not the permanent solution. So again, to me, it is always about the mindset. The mindset is key to about this fear of love. And then the other thing is also one must rely on therapies that offer long-term cures. Not just, I'll do one session and that cures me. It doesn't. It takes time because there's a lot of issues with that fear of love. So behaviour therapy, meditation, neuro-linguistic modalities, NLP, are a few tried and tested means of overcoming this issue. Now, going forth with the fear of love is another issue as well, is when people, as a hypnotherapist, if you are interested or you have this fear of being in a relationship or so forth, is when you work with me as a consultation, usually the consultation I do is about an hour. But with the fear of love is usually with that, because love is such a massive subject, you have to break it down into actually, if the first consultation goes well, then you have to look at that. This will actually take a few sessions more than usual, because it actually affects so many different departments and the knock-on effect is profound. So I would say the fear of love is something I deal with clients and I help people out as much as I can, but it's also about their commitment. And I think a lot of people aren't committed to work on this enough. And I think with the world going forward is the one thing which actually may be sentimental, but the actual idea of love or commitment or the idea of marriage, or the idea of togetherness, or the idea of a great relationship or partnership, I think is going to be essential going forward, because the way the world is, it's going to become very fragmented, and the support you're going to need from family or your loved one is going to be very important. So until next time, and I will be speaking about the fear of commitment, I shall speak to you soon.